Have you ever had a spiritual transformative experience? Well, we're going to talk about what that may mean and what it may look like. Stay tuned. Okay, so today we're going to talk about spiritually transformative experiences, which is also called STE. And I had no idea what that was whenever I first learned the term on one of my podcasts from Michelle's Inspiration Hour. And the guest that I was having, Dr. Marni, uh, wrote a book, God Came to My Garage Sale. And the whole theme on the book is her experiencing different STEs. And as I was reading it, I'm going, oh my gosh, I think I've also had one. Now, all STEs are different. And people, when they explain what the experience looked like and felt like, they get very, very emotional. And because it's so personal and it's so transformative and it changes their life, and you start changing your views about everything. So let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to put together a PowerPoint presentation to explain what all of this means. All right, so here it is, spiritually transformative experience. And again, I just find all of this fascinating. I found a couple of videos and I just have to introduce her. So it's Dr. Yvonne Kason, and she is the one that coined the term spiritually transformative experience in 1994. And whenever she started having these experiences, of course, she is a medical doctor. And a lot of her team and a lot of her working peers really tried to put the scientific, explanation saying, well, maybe you're just hallucinating. Maybe you're exhausted and stressed out. And she's going, no, I don't think so. So this is the lady that really turned the experience and found a different meaning in her life. She knew that she had to go ahead and bring knowledge to the world and to teach people what this actually means, because there's so many people that have had these experiences but they didn't have anyone to turn to because everybody kept calling them that telling them that they were crazy. And so I'm going to go ahead and walk you through what exactly happened to her. So in 1976 she experienced a spiritual energy, what she calls a kundalini awakening, while doing meditation. And that term is actually based upon yoga. And so a lot of her people that she would look up to and really, admired were yogi masters. So she experienced something while she was doing a meditation. And she explained that, meditation she just took to, she just absolutely loved. She found meaning behind it. But she started having an experience. She felt energy go across her spine and up through her head. And she said it was, and at first, she had never done meditation before. And she's going, you know what? Is this what it means to meditate? Does everybody go through the same experience? So she thought it was absolutely normal. And then she kept hearing sounds, like a waterfall. And whenever I started yoga, that's what they said, that you could hear different sounds and different vibrations whenever you're meditating. And of course, you feel that love and everything. And I'm going, oh, that'd be awesome. But of course, I kept looking for it. So I think when you look for it, it may not come as easy. But for her, it was like, oh, is this something normal? That's okay. So in 1979, she experienced a near death experience due to a plane crash. And she calls this a mystical experience. And the reason is she was not clinically dead. Her body, was, very, very cold. And she still went through a lot of experiences that a lot of people do whenever they die. She felt, she felt that she was outside of her body, and she was actually able to see whenever she was rescued from this frozen lake, and she watched from above. And a lot of people who have an NDE experience, that's exactly what they see, the visions that they see. They can see the medical team working on their body to try to revive them. But a lot of people in the medical field said, well, I don't know if it's an NDE because you did not die. And she said, well, it was pretty close. I may not have seen that black tunnel, but it was very, very close. So she called it a mystical experience. And then later on, she changed it. And she said it was definitely an NDE. So then a few weeks later, she experienced psychic awakening. And of course, in the psychic field, we have the clair. She said that she was clairvoyant in the beginning, then clairsentience, and then her clairs really picked up. And one time she was going over to see one of her friends, and she all of a sudden saw a vision of a brain that was unhealthy. And she found out when she went over to visit her friend that she actually had meningitis. And so she was able to save her friend because of that one vision. So, because of her ND experience, and a lot of people who have ND experiences, they do have that psychic awakening. Okay. And we're going to talk about what that means as well. But 1990, she experienced another spiritual energy, okay, awakening, where she again felt that energy just shoot through her body. And she saw a beacon of light. It almost tasted like nectar, okay, um, in her mouth. And that's when she received the calling. She knew exactly what she needed to do to help other people. So she finally came out of the closet and said, you know what? I'm going to tell people what I have been through so that I can help them. So in 2003, she actually died. Okay. Now she clinically died. Okay. So she was at Niagara Falls and fell and hit her head. And she went, she said it was very dark in the beginning, like a dark tunnel. And then she was able to meet several people on the other side, and they told her that she had died. And just to summarize it, she had a choice. You can be reincarnated into a little girl that's about to be born, or you can actually go back to your body, but it's going to be very difficult, and you're going to really have to recover your health and everything. And she said, you know what? I'll go wherever I need to go to be a warrior for people. And all of a sudden, she said, I felt myself go back into my body. She entered through her head, basically. Her soul entered her body. Once she returned to her body, she found out that she had TBI, which is traumatic brain injury. And it took her several years to recover. And she was not able to go to her daily work. She had to go to physical therapy, lots of therapies to try to recover from this. And she could not write anymore. She could not teach anymore. And so, it's interesting how spirit has a way of giving you an experience so that you can help others and be that warrior. So 12 years later, her brain was healed during meditation. She actually felt it. And then after that day, she was normal. She was very healthy. She didn't have that traumatic brain injury. Her brain healed on itself. So she actually said that she felt the energy. So, due to all of this, yes, so she definitely felt like she was a warrior, and she wanted to continue and tell people, you know what? These experiences are meant for you so that you are able to move on into your journey. So, whenever you're looking at all STEs, so spiritually transformative experiences can cause spiritual awakenings. And I know I had several during my spiritual awakening in my 20s. And so this made so much sense to me. So that's why I'm doing this video, just in case you are going through a lot of experiences and you're going, what's going on? This may make better sense to you. All right, so there are different types, and of course, everything that she went through, she was able to put a term to it. And because she had experienced it, She was able to really teach people what each one really means and gives examples and the feeling behind it, and which I think is really awesome. And so that is definitely her life mission. So let's look at mystical experience. Okay. You may experience oneness. You may feel like everybody is oneness. We're all the same. And you may have visions, expansive episodes, spiritual rebirth, conversion, healing, like what she did during the meditation, and disillusion experiences, which means that if you get very mystical, you're going to feel like you're really not yourself. Okay. You're going to feel your soul, and you're not going to feel that human existence anymore. You're not going to really say, my name is Michelle, but that's not who I truly am. So you're really going to feel your soul and really the spiritual world where you came from. And it's going to really change and shape the way that the things that you think about. Okay. And the way that you thought about is totally wrong now. Now, you may experience spiritual energy like the Holy Spirit. You may feel just that awness and that just the love and the energy, just like what she did with the movement on up her inner spine. Okay. And during meditation, she could hear the different sounds and light perception. So, there's this light that always comes to you, and you just feel in awe with all the energy. Now, the near death experience, there are so many different ways that people experience this. And so I didn't really put any of the examples because there are so many different examples. But of course, everybody says, well, I saw this dark tunnel, because it's very hard to explain. People say, I just don't have the words. I don't have the language to explain what I experienced when I was up in heaven. But the one thing that she did explain was that, yes, so she saw her soul leave her body, and she was able to see outside and see what it looked like. Okay. And see the medical people help trying to revive her and everything. And then once she got to heaven, she's going, oh my gosh, I'm going to be judged. I know I'm going to be judged and I'm going to hate it and everything. And she goes, no, it's not like that. It's like whenever you did go to heaven, you just feel so much love. And then she was able to experience, or was able to choose, do you want to go back or not? But again, near death experiences are so emotional because it is so different for everybody. Okay, so here's the other different types. We have psychic intuition, and of course, the list goes on and on and on. So I just put a few examples here. So I mean that third eye opens up, right? So you can do automatic writing, channeling. Your clairs get stronger. You're able to heal. Healing out of body experiences. You may have very vivid dreams. You can experience. You can actually become a medium for mediumship. You may experience higher guidance whenever you are speaking with your team, your spirit team, or your spirit guides, or maybe your angels are talking to you. And many people also experience UFOs. All right. So, other death related experiences. So, this means that you may have a deathbed vision, which means that you know when you are going to die. Okay. Or you have experiences of loved ones coming to visit you to be able to go move to the other side to help you transform. Okay. You may have a death watch experience. So, if you're with your grandmother and she's about to pass away, or whenever she does pass away, you can see her soul leaving and you can feel the energy. So you may be able to experience that. Or after death communication, after your loved ones have passed on, and you keep getting that same thing, and you're thinking, oh, that's just a coincidence. Okay, my lights are flickering. It's just a coincidence. No, it may be your loved one actually trying to say hello. Or maybe you smell that perfume that your grandmother used to wear, and you're going, oh my gosh, that was my grandmother's perfume. Again, she may be saying hello. So, yeah, so these are spiritual experiences that you really feel, oh my gosh, there's something greater than myself. I love this last one. So she explains that it's an inspired creativity and genius. So many times when people meditate or they pray or they sit in silence, they receive download of information from the spiritual world. And this is like you then feel like you need to create whatever you just thought about. Like Einstein, I mean, he was getting so many downloads and so much information from the spirit world that he was just, I mean, amazing. And so you can find these different souls that are just in. Okay, so we can also think of childhood prodigies, where they're just born, they haven't learned any of this talent like piano playing. They've never really had a piano lesson. They get in front of a piano and they can just create these wonderful pieces of music. And artists are also like this. They just kind of they pick up a paintbrush and just channel, the spirit world, and they all of a sudden have this amazing talent. And it is very spiritual indeed to see. All right. So again, I wanted to also give credit. This is a guest that I had on the podcast, Dr. Marni Hill, and I love her book. And again, it was very inspirational and very spiritual for me because I was going, I had never heard of this term, spiritually transformative experience. And I'm thinking, that makes total sense because I always love research and I love that logical thinking behind it. And for somebody to actually go through what she went through, and I'm going to go back to her slide of all these experiences that she went through and had to experience so that she can bring us the knowledge and say, you know what, this is a normal thing. This is so spiritual. Don't be afraid of it. Don't, because there are a lot of people that experience NDEs, near death experiences, that are so afraid to tell anybody. And again, they become so emotional because it was so spiritual to them. And it just changes the way that you think because you experience something mystical, psychological, psychically, and also so spiritually. And so I just appreciate her so much for Dr. Kason for bringing us all of this information because she could have said no to the spirit world and said, no, I'm not going to experience all this. That looks very painful. And she said, no, I say yes. And this is my journey, the pathway to what I need to experience so that I can help others. So I hope that this really educated you into knowing what spiritual transformative experiences are. If you want to comment and let me know what type of experience that you have had so that others can hear about your story.